For years, BRICS was dismissed as just another economic acronym, a loose grouping of emerging economies with little real influence and no clear direction. But beneath the surface, BRICS has been quietly evolving into one of the most consequential platforms of the changing global order. Today it stands not as a challenge announced loudly, but as a shift unfolding steadily, reflecting a world that no longer revolves around a single center of power. BRICS did not begin as a geopolitical alliance. Its origins go back to 2001, when the term BRIC was coined by an economist to describe four rapidly growing economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, expected to dominate global growth in the coming decades. At that time, it was purely an investment concept, not a political vision. But by the mid-2000s, these countries began to realize something deeper. Despite their economic weight, they had little influence over the global institutions that governed finance, trade, and development. In 2006, the four countries began meeting informally on the sidelines of the United Nations. Their first official summit followed in 2009. In the aftermath of the global financial crisis, a moment that fundamentally altered how emerging economies viewed the Western-led system, while financial centers in the West collapsed, countries outside that system paid the price. The crisis exposed a simple truth. Global rules were being written by a few, but their consequences were felt by many. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, transforming BRIC into BRICS and giving it representation across four continents. From that point onward, BRICS became a political reality, yet it remained cautious, deliberately avoiding rigid structures, military commitments, or ideological positioning. This was by design. BRICS was not meant to mirror Western alliances. It was meant to offer an alternative way of cooperation. At the heart of BRICS lies a shared frustration rather than shared ideology. Its members differ in political systems, strategic interests, and even regional rivalries. What unites them is a common belief that global power no longer reflects global reality. Institutions like the IMF, World Bank, the UN Security Council continue to be dominated by countries whose relative economic weight is shrinking. While much of the world's population, resources, and growth remain underrepresented. For years, BRICS focused on incremental steps. The creation of the new development bank was a major milestone, a financial institution designed to fund infrastructure and development projects without the political conditions often attached to Western financing. It was a signal that BRICS intended not to destroy existing systems, but to build parallel ones. The true acceleration of BRICS, however, came much later. Sanctions, trade wars, and geopolitical confrontation changed everything. The growing use of the US dollar and Western financial systems as tools of political pressure sent shockwaves across the global South. For many countries, the lesson was clear. Economic dependence had become a strategic risk. BRICS increasingly transformed from a discussion forum into a hedge against uncertainty. This shift became unmistakable with the emergence of BRICS expansion, commonly referred to as BRICS+. In 2024, BRICS underwent its most dramatic enlargement. With this expansion, BRICS now includes some of the world's largest energy producers, critical trade corridors, and key regional powers across the Middle East, Africa, Eurasia, and Latin America. Argentina was invited, but chose not to proceed, underscoring that BRICS expansion is selective, not automatic. This expansion was strategic, not symbolic. With its new members, BRICS represents a significant share of the world's population, global GDP measured by purchasing power, and crucially, control over oil, gas, food production, and critical minerals. This concentration of resources gives the bloc leverage far beyond what its loose structure might suggest. So what is the real objective of BRICS? Despite popular narratives, BRICS is not an anti-West military alliance, nor is it a unified ideological bloc. Its members often compete with one another. India and China have unresolved tensions. Brazil and Russia pursue different global priorities. Yet BRICS endures because it is built on interests rather than alignment. At its core, BRICS seeks a multipolar world, one where no single country can dominate global finance, dictate political outcomes, or weaponize interdependence without consequences. This explains BRICS' growing focus on trade in local currencies, alternative payment systems, and financial sovereignty. The The goal is not to replace the US dollar overnight, but to reduce dependence on it over time. Much of the speculation surrounding BRICS comes from this financial ambition. There is no secret currency waiting to suddenly overthrow the dollar. Instead, there is a quiet long-term strategy: normalize non-dollar trade, expand South-South cooperation, strengthen alternative institutions, and gradually dilute the monopoly of Western-controlled systems. These changes are slow, technical, and often overlooked, which is precisely why they matter. BRICS also serves as a diplomatic platform for countries that do not want to choose sides in an increasingly polarized world. It offers emerging and middle powers a space where they are not junior partners, not pressured, and not expected to align ideologically. In this sense, BRICS is as much about autonomy as it is about power. Looking ahead, the future of BRICS will be defined by its ability to manage contradictions while maintaining momentum. Internal rivalries, economic imbalances, and political differences pose real challenges. Expansion increases influence, but also complexity. The Bloc must now prove that it can turn ambition into coordination, symbolism into substance. This brings us to the present moment. After Russia hosted the 2024 summit, and Brazil followed as host in 2025, India is set to host the BRICS summit in 2026. This is widely seen as a pivotal moment for the grouping. India's presidency is expected to emphasize reform of global governance institutions, digital public infrastructure, development finance, and the voice of the global South. Unlike moments of confrontation, this phase is about consolidation, transforming BRICS Plus from expansion into structure. Whether BRICS ultimately reshapes the global order or remains a balancing force rather than a dominant one, its significance is already undeniable. It reflects a world where power is diffusing, choices are multiplying, and dependence on any single system is increasingly seen as a risk. BRICS is not the future world order, but it is a clear signal of where the world is heading. And in an era defined by transition, signals like this are impossible to ignore.